Our next story took place 20 years ago near South Beach, Miami in Florida. For Hillary Russell and her parents, what happened on that particular Sunday afternoon is as clear now as it was then. But how it happened still amazes them.
This happened in the winter of 1978, and it was a cold, gray kind of day. And we were taking the dog to the beach because the dog had fleas.
Hillary, hold on tight to Sid, honey.
Bonnie's just fine.
We had tried to get the dog into baths, taken him to the vet. Everybody said, you need to take the dog to the beach, get him in the salt water to get rid of the fleas.
We lived in Miami, and we wanted to go to a beach where there wouldn't be a lot of people. So we decided to go to Miami Beach.
It was so gray. I was very surprised it was like that, because I don't think it was like that when we left our house. And it seemed to get grayer and grayer as we approached the beach.
Hillary wouldn't care if it was a gray day because she'd go to the beach any day of the week.
I loved being in the water. I loved swimming in the water. I loved everything about being at the beach, and I had my dog with me.
We drove into an area where we could park at the beach. It was about 50 feet from the shoreline. And we opened the car door like anybody would, and the dog jumped out and ran towards the water, and Hillary jumped out and ran towards the shoreline.
Hillary, come back!
And her dad jumped out and ran after the two of them.
And I was holding Sid by his leash, and he saw the water and got excited at the prospect of seeing the water and went running into the ocean.
Hillary was an excellent swimmer. She'd been swimming from the time she was about 3 weeks old.
I was confident of going into the water with the dog, leaving Mom and Dad behind on the beach. At some point, I had dropped the leash and I had gone in a little deeper, probably knee length.
It wasn't long before she seemed to be going out pretty fast, pretty quickly. And I started to get a little bit alarmed.
Hillary!
What no one realized was Hillary had been caught in an undercurrent and was being dragged away from the shore.
So when I saw that, and I saw that he could not get into the water, is when I tore for the beach. I had to try to get in there to save her. And I hit the water running. And when I hit the water, my shoes were torn off of my feet. It was like hitting a brick wall. I had been a swimmer all my life. I had been a lifeguard. I'd been a swimming instructor. And I knew that I was not going to be able to get to her.
I could see my parents. I couldn't see their faces, but I could tell from their body language that they were panicking.
Hillary, come in now!
I was fearful of her life because it looked like she couldn't go this way and she couldn't go this way. So she was in great danger, and I didn't know what then. And I was getting very, very shook up.
When I first knew that I was in trouble, I tried to swim beneath the current down along the ocean floor. I knew that if I could get underneath the current, I could get back to my parents, but I wasn't strong enough to dive that deep.
Hillary, come back!
I was devastated. I was sick. And I was helpless. I felt so helpless because I couldn't do anything. And I knew I couldn't get through the water. And I knew that Dick couldn't get through the water. And I knew she was going to drown.
I knew that I was going to die. I knew I was not going home with Mom and Dad that day.
And it was at that moment when I saw somebody in the water.
Come in, Hilly! Hilly, come in!
I was stunned and I was shocked because the water was so rough that a normal person couldn't come through the water very easily. And yet this man seemed to be walking through it as though it was nothing, as though he was in a wading pool.
And he was just coming as fast as he could. I assumed he was coming at a good rate of speed. And I didn't see any motions or actions of him with his arms or anything. He just was coming to her. And when he got to her, he reached down and picked her right up.
I felt these arms reach around from behind me and lift me up, and I immediately looked at the arms, and they were sparkling, as if they had glitter or something gold on them. They were tan and they were golden, and I remember thinking that was strange because it had been a dark day out.
He came right up to us and handed Hillary to us, and we just threw our arms around her.
Are you okay, honey?
After a couple of seconds, we realized that our good manners would require us to thank this man and to do it properly. So we turned to look for him, thinking he'd be standing right next to us or right behind us.
Where did he go?
I don't know.
And he was gone.
See him anywhere.
That's really weird.
We just couldn't figure it out. It was just strange.
So how could anyone walk through these currents and then just disappear?
I have thought about it for the last 20 years, and I've tried to come up with every explanation possible, every rationalization possible, and there doesn't appear to be any. There aren't any. I believe an angel saved me that day.
But could there be a more down-to-earth explanation?
In traumatic situations, you're under a lot of stress, you have stress hormones pouring out, you have a physiologic reaction, and things may not seem as they really are. So it's very frequent that you get some sort of distortion in memory in terms of what happens and some sort of distortion in terms of time. So it's entirely possible that what they might have thought was a few seconds might have been a few minutes, which would explain why the man seemed to have disappeared so quickly.
What this doesn't explain is how the man crossed through the water so easily.
Probably the most logical explanation is that the man who saved her was a surfer, perhaps a body surfer, who happened to be passing by because he would be familiar with waves, sandbars, and also rip currents. So he would have used them to his advantage. And he also would have been in good, strong physical condition, so he would have been able to do this in a most effortless manner, as the parents observed.
It made no sense that anybody would be standing out in the water there. And then after that, how did he move through the water? How did he come through the water as though it was nothing? And I knew it was like a brick wall. And then the final question in my mind was, where did he go? After we got Hillary back, how did he disappear?
So I believe I was saved for a reason. It wasn't my time to go yet.